Let's bring in the Liberal Senator and the former Ambassador to Israel, Dave Sharma. Dave, good morning to you. Good to see you as always. Do you think anything can be done before Ramadan?
I think there's certainly the outlines of a deal there, Peter. I think, what's on the table is a 40-day ceasefire, the release of 40 hostages in exchange for 400 Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails. I think if Hamas can agree to those terms, I think Israel is agreeable to them. That would allow some semblance of peace to be brought to the region before the 10th of October at least, and allow a temporary respite in hostilities to allow more humanitarian assistance to get through, which is really important right now.
Given how tense and sketchy things are, I mean, even if a 6-week pause is established, can it even hold in the current environment, Dave?
Well, that will depend on the goodwill of both sides, but we did see with the last temporary ceasefire, it did hold. Israeli hostages were released, Palestinian prisoners were exchanged, more humanitarian assistance got in. I think the real sticking point here is Hamas wants this to be an end of conflict that leaves them in place, that gets Israel to withdraw its forces from Gaza, and that's simply not going to happen. I think Israel is committed to making sure that Gaza is rid of Hamas. The population there is united behind that goal. The political leadership is united behind that goal. And I think after the events of October the 7th, that's a perfectly legitimate and defensible goal for the State of Israel.
Dave, I'm interested in your thoughts on Dunkley on the weekend. One of the interesting subsections of results was that richer vote that leaned Lib. As a former member for Wentworth who was taken out by a teal, is a seat like Wentworth in play again, do you think, next time around?
I think it's absolutely in play. I think there were some encouraging signs in Dunkley. We didn't win the seat, but we haven't won that seat on its current boundary since they were set in 2016. And I think we saw some encouraging signs of, voters who probably more closely resemble those in Wentworth down in the seat of Dunkley, swinging to the Liberal Party in quite a strong way because they're concerned about Labor's damaging and harmful economic policies, whether it's industrial relations, whether it's its energy policies, whether it's its expansionary fiscal policy. All those sorts of things are concerning people who make their money in the economy and who rely on the health of the economy for their own living standards. And there's a lot of those in Wentworth. So absolutely, Wentworth is in play at the next election.
On energy policy, though, is nuclear going to help that?
I think nuclear makes perfect sense, Peter. I mean, I want to see us reduce our emissions, but we are at the moment the only G20 country in the world that has ruled out nuclear energy. We saw a pledge at the COP in the Conference of the Parties in the UAE last year, pledging countries or asking countries to triple their nuclear generation capacity. Australia is nowhere to be seen. And at the moment, if we want to hit 82% renewable energy in the grid by 2030, which is Chris Bowen's target, that's going to require, billions and billions of dollars in infrastructure and new transmission lines. And we're already seeing with local opposition to some of these projects that that's probably well beyond our scope. But small modular nuclear reactors, if they're economically feasible, if they stack up, can fill the void of the withdrawal of coal power.
Right. But there's a time problem there, though, isn't there? I mean, can you even get those nuclear reactors here by 2030?
Well, that's something we need to explore. But at the moment, we've got this ridiculous policy in Australia where we're not even allowed to explore these things. We're not even allowed to look at the cost benefits. We're not even allowed to do project feasibility studies and those sorts of things because nuclear power is unlawful in Australia. One of the only countries in the world where it's actually outlawed. That's what we need to fix as a matter of priority. And then I'll be interested, Ted O'Brien, the Shadow Energy Minister, has been doing a lot of work to assess the feasibility of this and the practicalities of it and the affordability of it. And I think he'll have an encouraging story to tell when we release our policy.
Okay. When's that going to be, Dave?
Before the May budget, I believe.
Okay. Okay. Not anytime soon. Oh, I guess that's not too far away. Dave Sharma, good to see you. We'll talk to you again soon.